Hey, go watch the Batman and Harley Quinn Will It Cannon, please God. Holy shit.
You can see me on screen about 100 times, but you can only see me once.
That's very true. I don't say 100, but yeah, several.
I wonder how many times am I on? How many judges were there?
Yeah, a little Easter egg. All the judges were Brian, and there was only one judge costume, so I just took a shit ton of pictures of Brian sitting in each chair from every possible angle, and then tracked them into every shot of the whole goddamn video.
Yeah, the real hero here is you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Well, that was good.
Yeah,
bye,
that was
everyone.
a good podcast. I'm glad we did that. We'll see you next Friday, everybody.
Banana. You know what I didn't do?
What?
I didn't export.
What?
I didn't export the updated Yoppie Mail.
You're never going to. It's okay. This is what it'll be forever. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
So quiet.
I am.
So quiet.
It's too quiet.
On some
You
devices.
think it's too quiet?
I do.
Well, but then you'll bump it up, and everybody will be like, "Oh God, it's so loud."
Just by like
Stop.
3 decibels, just enough.
At least I am too loud. Is what it says. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast.
The podcast?
The podcast?
I guess.
It's called Jabber Mason, guys. That's what our top 10 document says at the top. Is JABRMEIASN, guys.
Yeah.
It's every 2 letters of our names, the first names. Every other spaced out. It's our names combined into like a waffle pattern.
Waffle?
They're hatched like this, like my hands.
I mean, but it's like a barcode, not a QR code. You know what I'm saying?
It's like a star code. It's got 5 points. Point number 1, this is called Jump on the Bat-Wagon. Number 2, we are James and Brian. Number 3, we are watching the Batman the Animated Series episode Birds of a Feather today. Number 4, it's not Robin's Reckoning Part 2. It never will be. There is no Part 2. It's all a joke. And number 5, that last part was a lie.
You know what's funny?
It is, Rob. We're skipping to Robin's Reckoning Part 2. What?
I actually forgot that we're not watching Robin's Reckoning Part 2.
I know. I figured you would forget that.
It's amazing how much I can forget.
You forgot it 5 seconds after I said it last time, so there's no way you wouldn't forget it a week later.
You are correct.
What did you think? You thought this was a
podcast about Batman, but instead it's just 2 guys dicking around.
It sure is. It's Jabber Mason, guys. This is that's the new Yoppie dudes. We're called the Jabber Mason guys now.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't think so. I don't either. You guessed that Birds of a Feather was about a Thelma and Louise style adventure between Robin and the Penguin. Are you sticking with that? You think?
Yeah. We said something about a basement last time, right?
Yeah, there has to be a basement or else it's not a Penguin episode.
Jamie, do you see this?
That's your face.
This is
you have more facial hair than normal, is what you're pointing at.
I hate it, but I realize
Why?
I'm catching up to you. It's the facial hair feel. Listen to this.
Yeah, it's a good.
Oh, it's awful. Why do people do this?
You gotta push past the itch.
I had to have a goatee for about 2 months for a production.
Oh,
and I hated it. And we had our call. We ended the show. We had our call where we had dinner and we all just kind of goofed around and one last hurrah. And then I drove the quarter mile home from the theater, maybe half mile, and shaved immediately. I was not home for 5 minutes before I started shaving.
I felt I let my mustache get longer and longer and longer and longer for months, and then we had our 24-hour live stream that was a couple years ago already. Fuck me. And then we had a thing, if we passed 69,000 subscribers that night, I would shave the mustache. But I was in such pain. Because I would sit there and pull at it, and it would hurt when you don't do that. But I couldn't. It was like a little fidget cube on my face, but it's mustache shaped instead of a cube, you see?
I see.
And I shaved it off regardless. We didn't hit that number that night, but I just shaved it off anyway, and it was so nice.
Yeah.
And I looked like I was a whole new man, you know?
I
I also
like-
looked 10 years younger, and I didn't like it. I liked the look of the mustache. I can't do the pain part. I don't want to.
That's the thing, is this actually like even hurts me. Like my hair is curly enough that my facial hair, like it as soon as it's long enough it curls over and then it starts poking me.
Yeah.
And it just
The mustache would get in like the food.
That's gross.
This is the
too.
47th episode produced and the 52nd to air. I gotta catch you off guard.
Good job.
I realized I forgot to mention last episode, Robin's Reckoning Part 1 was the 32nd episode produced and the 51st to air. This is 47th and 52nd. I also started writing down now what episodes an episode was produced between to give you a little bit of context if you want. So this episode, Birds of a Feather, was produced right between Almost Got Him and What is Reality. So a little ways ago. Or those episodes were a little ahead of their time. You know?
It could be either.
It could be both. It is both. This is
both.
teleplay. No, aired Monday, February 8th, 1993. No skip days, 4:30 p.m. on Fox.
Amazing.
Now it's the teleplay time. It's time to tell you the teleplay is done by Bryn Stevens.
We've had Bryn Stevens.
Yes. Story by Chuck Menville. Only B-TAS credit. Directed by Frank Powell. We haven't had him for quite a while. He had a whole string of episodes there. Music by Shirley Walker and animation by Dong Yang with layout by Mr. Big Cartoons.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, me too. I don't know what that is. Now, we've had a handful now that have been like animation by this, but layout by this. And I have no idea what layout means, so I looked it up. On the Disney animation website, they describe layout as a central component of the storytelling process. Working from storyboards, layout artists use a film's characters, sets, props, and cameras to stage, block, and shoot the film shot by shot.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting.
So I guess they're taking models and things and being like, hey, it should look like this, but I don't really know what the difference between that and a storyboard artist is. So Dan Reba, if you're listening, please tell me what the hell that is. I don't know. I never will, I guess, because that didn't help me, that little definition.
Well, neato. You don't learn something new every day.
Regardless, I guess this Mr. Big Cartoons had some sort of hand to play in Birds of a Feather, and so if we see a bad thing, we could just blame it on that.
Yes.
Blue Pencil, ACOM, Mr. Big Cartoons. The Holy Trinity.
I feel like Mr. Big is one of those names that's like used in cartoons a lot.
Yeah. It's describing every cartoon with a big person in it, right? Like the penguin. You see?
No, I
He's
don't.
kind of like a little big guy, though. You want to watch the episode?
I really do.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
He fenced with his umbrella? How droll. This penguin will absolutely make your party.
You know, it was quite touching, actually. It's not often that a man rushes to my rescue. Unfortunately, he wants to see me again.
Who's that, Veronica? I've heard you're running around with a dangerous crowd.
Well, keep it under your hat, Brucey, but I've just snagged the penguin for my party.
Why?
For the entertainment, Dodo. Can't you just see their faces when that stuffed capon waddles in?
I'd think twice if I were you.
Oh, lighten up, Wayne. After all, he is an OKD. Not our kind, dear.
Better be careful that your little joke doesn't come home to roost.
There is no good penguin episode. This wasn't a bad episode. It was just
This
not a
wasn't
good
a good episode.
No. What happened?
Are we just going to jump straight into that?
Yeah, we're just doing it. What
Okay.
happens in Birds of a Feather, Brian?
Penguins fuck it up. Batman arrests him just after he got out of jail and throws him back in jail. Penguin decides not to escape from jail and instead is going to go back into society as a highly revered man. And he's expecting a big welcoming home, and he comes home, and there's nobody there but Batman and some rat poison. The end?
His two favorite people.
Yeah. And then
Meanwhile,
Penguin gets invited to a big party, which starts to be a scam, and then it ends up not quite being a scam. But then he flips out when he finds the truth that it was originally a scam, and then the Penguin like just loses it, steals a girl, demands money, tries to get people killed. Batman stops him in the end.
it was a pretty plain plot.
It was a pretty plain plot.
Not everything
It
works.
doesn't
with the
work
song.
all the time. I'm sorry.
No. It's I think this is the third time I've seen this episode. I don't think I have ever purposely watched this episode not in a full series watch through, which I have done twice prior to this podcast. So I think that's it. I think I for sure have seen this now 3 times.
And
I
there's
did
a
not
good
remember really anything that was going to happen.
However, you had some great lucky timing, but we can talk about that later.
Oh, okay. Because I don't remember what that is even. I'll read you the official synopsis, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Penguin's being released from prison, yeah? And he's disappointed to find that none of his friends are around to greet him.
Yeah.
In fact, none of his friends are around, period.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Veronica Vreeland, a slipping A-list socialite, is looking for a way to create a splash with her next party, and arrives at the idea of having a criminal in attendance, especially if there's one whose manners would create a stir.
Yeah.
Penguin fits the bill perfectly.
Yeah.
In the process of convincing the Penguin to come to her party, Veronica finds she likes the corpulent little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. For his part, the Penguin begins to fall in love with her. Instead of allowing a nice friendship to develop, Veronica's cohort, Pierce, keeps her focused on simply using the Penguin for her social climbing purposes.
Yeah.
At the big party, Penguin discovers he was just being used. Enraged, he kidnaps Veronica and demands Pierce deliver her family's huge ransom.
Yeah.
It's up to Batman, the other one, to track down the Penguin and save the 2 selfish socialites. Yep. Yeah.
And also the Penguin, because he almost like falls to his death.
Yeah. He grabs onto a very, very thin curtain that rips like tissue paper as he falls.
Yeah.
That last like 4 minutes or less of the episode just really hit the fan all of a sudden. Penguin turns on his helicopter umbrella
and the shit
and
hits
flies forward into Batman through at Batman. Batman dodges, and then he flies up into a like suspended curtain thing, and then he's suddenly on the other side of it. And the like a big smoke thing happens, and he flies out of the smoke on a dragon, and the dragon breathes fire all over Batman, and then it catches the theater on fire, and the chandelier's gonna fall, and Batman uses his single human strength to catch the entire thing and stop it, and then Penguin falls through the tissue paper and dies, but not really.
So this is a synopsis brought to you by Jamie.
Yeah. I gotta do them every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
The basement theme song played, but we kind of had to force a basement.
I think we had a basement.
I think it was his same like sewer lair as the mechanic, but maybe it wasn't because it was right underneath that. It was under the theater, so I guess maybe it was the theater's basement. I think we can count that. What?
From the Oxford English Dictionary, basement,
Define
noun,
basement.
the floor of a building which is the floor of a building which is partly or entirely below ground level, like his little Phantom of the Opera lair with the staircases and the candelabra.
Phantom of the Opera lair. I would call that basement adjacent, I think.
It is the floor of a building which is partly or entirely below ground level.
Do we think that is like a known area to the theater, like janitors and stuff? Or do we think that the Penguin is just like, I'm going to drive my big duck there?
I think there's probably a very obvious ominous door with a like, hey, don't open this
Don't
by
go in
order
here.
of Ollie.
This goes to the Penguin's basement, actually. Don't go in here.
Right. I've got Penguin in my theater basement.
Theater data basement. Yeah.
Theater data basement?
I tried to say the same thing as you, but the Zoom delay, and I hate it. This episode was pretty something that's just kind of happened.
Yep. Well, I'm pretty much done talking about it. So.
Yeah, me too. I don't.
Let's go
I
to
think
mail.
that's it. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
We drop.
Oh my God.
I like how Penguin, in previous episodes we've seen, he has like a supervillain lair in the sewer and stuff. And in this one, he just has like a dusty apartment. He comes home to like the door like knockers are like birds. So I guess it's like his place, like for where he normally lives. But we've never seen that. It seems like out of character for some reason for him to just live in some loft or whatever. But
I don't recall him being so affluent. Is this the thing?
Like how? What?
Well, he's like really like verbose and all, and that's fine. But like, he comes out of this being like, well, I'm just gonna step back into high society. Everyone's gonna want to see me, obviously.
Oh yeah,
like
I guess we're supposed to just assume he thinks that way of himself, but he doesn't really because nobody's there to greet him and someone's been paying his phone bill while he's been in jail for an unknown amount of time.
Just saying.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't in. I don't think that was Arkham Asylum because it's like has actual like prison bars and stuff, whereas Arkham is like big glass window door place.
Big Glass, Oregon.
Big Glass, Oregon. I'm so bored. I don't know what to talk about. This is the first time in a while we've had one of these where I'm like, yep.
No, there's really not much to say about it. Like, you read the synopsis, and I gave the synopsis,
and that sure is what happened.
That's about it. Like, there was some, like, okay, art.
Yeah, there was nothing like substantially cool. There, you mentioned there was like a good focus pull at one point.
Yeah, they had a very shallow depth of field moment where you had to do a focus pull from Pierce to the phone, which is about to ring. Yeah. And they did it like there's a pretty smooth transition between the two, which I imagine was not an easy feat.
I have to wonder how like far apart the cell in the background were to get that to work. Like they're just standing on like a 6-foot ladder, like trying to see through there or whatever.
Or maybe they just stacked them in one panel, and they had one guy just going from one thing.
Yeah, it just lifts it. Yeah, while the other guy's zooming out. So they're doing the like dolly zoom Jaws shot, trying to get so many times. Meanwhile, the other guys are like throwing the different frames into the thing rapidly. We got this. We got the system down. Sorry, Bruce Timm, do we really have to do this focus pull? Is this necessary? It'll be so good. The episode will make the episode so good.
It's absolutely going to sell it. 30 years from now, there's going to be a couple of guys in adjacent buses talking about it on a podcast.
Someday, two guys who do camera things will watch this, and they'll respect our focus pull. They'll understand.
Well, that's about all I have to say about this episode, Jamie.
I really don't like. Sometimes we just say that as a joke, like I don't know what to talk about, and then we keep talking for 2 hours. But this one really is like we've been talking for 9 minutes. I think I've said everything I need to say. Nothing happened. There was nothing monumental about this episode, like especially after just watching Robin's Reckoning, the best episode, and now we watch this. This was my headcanon during the watching of this, was that Batman drove off to go find Tony Zuko. Robin, don't come with me, fuck off. And then while he's doing that, like, oh shit, I better tail the Penguin real quick. So then this episode happens, and then we go back to the other episode.
I mean, do you at least have any trivs to like?
Oh yeah, I got trivs.
Okay, well,
let's talk about the cast and see if anything happens. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
All right, losing our minds over here. The cast is Kevin Conroy as Batman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know? Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon.
Yep.
Mary Lou Henner as Veronica.
Didn't know that one.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Famously, in quotes, okay. She's a character named Vivian Ludley on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I haven't watched that. So someone went, oh, interesting, just now. But her like big things were 2 shows that I've never heard of. Evening Shade. She's in 99 episodes of Evening Shade as Ava Evans Newton. And she's in 114 episodes of Taxi as Elaine Nardo. And if you had told me those things aren't real, I would believe you.
Taxi was pretty fun. Was she like the blonde?
I don't know. You looking it up?
Oh, she's like redheaded. But yeah, that's who I thought it was. Mary Lou Henner.
Okay. Well,
she's
you
still
knew
active,
her from
man.
Taxi, I guess.
Yeah, that was a show my mom used to watch. You know what? Good for her.
Was she on Night Court?
She's got a way more successful career than I do.
Yeah, I wasn't in 114 episodes of Taxi. We have Sam McMurray as Pierce. He played the principal on the Boondocks, the Adult Swim cartoon. Buckley Lloyd on Hey Arnold.
I don't remember who Buckley Lloyd is.
Like in like 2 episodes. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Lieutenant Griswold on Recess. Roy Hess in 49 episodes of Dinosaurs. I don't know what the character is. But he was also on the Tracy Ullman Show 1987 to 1990. Those are his things. Okay.
Nice. Well
is this
done.
a good podcast episode? Are you enjoying the podcast?
Right in. We'll wait here until you comment, and then we'll read your comment live because we have nothing else to say.
Well, how will they hear this podcast? How will they know?
Oh, just click the broadcast button.
Oh, I hit the
Zoom?
live button.
Hit the live button.
Oh. Oh, wait, oh, God. We have Neil Ross as Jake. He previously voiced Henshaw, a Joker henchman, in a couple episodes, and the chairman of the Peregrinators Club in Harley and Ivy. I mentioned that he was Green Goblin on Spider-Man the Animated Series when we watched Harley and Ivy. I somehow hadn't written down that he was also Dr. Benton Quest on Harvey Birdman.
Oh,
and Honest John in An American Tale.
Wait, no, let's just go back to Harvey Birdman. That was episode, I think, 1.
Maybe.
Which is a really good one. Oh.
What?
There must be some playback, but like the big, I forget what it's called. The big first episode.
Harvey Birdman episode 1.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of... I feel like I do know it, but anyway, let's move on.
Okay. Danny Wells as guard.
Danny Wells.
I guess that was the prison guard. Yeah. Bit parts on Johnny Bravo, Fairly Odd Parents, Days of Our Lives, The Real Ghostbusters, and the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. He also played a character named King Hugo III in a show called Potatoes and Dragons, which I think is a Dungeons and Dragons thing, but
okay.
I've never seen it, so I don't know. And Paul Williams as the Penguin.
Wow.
I
heard he wrote Rainbow Connection.
Yeah, I like that scene where he's singing along with the opera, but he's singing bad.
He's singing chicken-like.
She's singing she's a chicken.
Nice.
Do you like this podcast episode?
Right in.
Let's talk about some trivia. In the end credits, this wasn't the way it was on HBO Max, but so maybe it's on the DVD or whatever. Penguin is erroneously labeled as Penguin. The Q.
Nice. Certainly that was read by Benedict
Cumberbatch.
Who can't say penguin?
Oh, yeah, Penguins. Yeah, it's him, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay.
Yeah. The Penguin.
He must have written the credits.
Yeah, I think so.
Laren.
I think so. Laren Bright's last episode as story editor.
Rainbow Bright.
Also, the final story Chuck Melvin wrote for television. The episode aired a year after his death. This episode is his only BTAS credit. He notably previously worked on Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, and The Smurfs. And he was the father of Scott Menville, Robin on Teen Titans, which I didn't know and is cool.
That's a cool connection.
Yeah. The museum robbery was adapted into the stage Foul Play in the game The Adventures of Batman and Robin for Super Nintendo. That was I think this is our final one of those. We've had every once in a while we'll have like big villain. This stage was adapted for the thing, the video game. The duck boat that Pierce lands in is a nod to the Tim Burton Batman Returns, as previously in The Mechanic. The Penguin, newly freed from prison, catches a bus. In the background of this scene sits a thin white girl with short black hair. This is Yoppie, one of the main characters from the cult comic book Love and Rockets. The man who drew this scene as a storyboard, Ronnie Del Carmen, is a devoted fan of the comic and put her in as a shout-out to fellow fans.
Okay.
Dan Ripa brought this up when we interviewed him as well. And, yeah, it was one of those, like, it's not, like, canonically that character, but just looks exactly like, because people that worked on the show liked that comic. But they were like, they're sort of secretive about it, because they're like, if they don't have rights to that character, so they're not technically supposed to do that. But, yeah, that was kind of cool. Everyone else on that bus just looked like they were in a different cartoon, like they were supposed to be in, like, Hey Arnold or something. Like, they looked very out of place and gross.
Yeah.
At first you said, like, this is the basement, like, era of his life or something. If you wanted to count that, he's hit the basement at this point. The streets pierce. What? This is written horribly. The streets pierce to which is sent are named after comic creators Steve Englehart and Mike W. Barr. This is the corner of Englehart and Barr. Steve Englehart, co-creator of Shang-Chi and Mantis for Marvel. Co-creator of Rupert Thorne for DC, among many others.
Okay.
And Mike W. Barr, notably the writer of Batman Year 2. I brought up Batman Year 1 recently. Part of that comic was drawn by Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn.
And cousin of Seth MacFarlane, creator of
Family Guy.
I almost said South Park. I'm glad you filled that in.
I almost said that's probably the most obvious McFarlane joke, and I did say that just now.
Nice.
So I hope you feel good about yourself. Bruce's line, "Maybe the rumors of your reform are not exaggerated," is a paraphrase of Mark Twain's famous misquote, "The rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated." The actual line was, "The report of my death was an exaggeration."
Oh,
like
that is the most interesting triv so far.
John James Audubon,
Jingleheimer Schmidt,
is revealed to be Penguin's personal favorite artist, whose artwork is mainly based on birds. Now, I finally figured out what the hell happened to me in The Mechanic. We were watching The Mechanic, and when we first see the Penguin, he's in his, like, sewer lair, sitting on his big bird throne, and I in that episode of the podcast, I said, like, did Penguin say something about a reverse Autobahn? Did I have a stroke and imagine that? And, like, I definitely heard that, but I didn't know what to make of it. So he didn't say Autobahn. He said Audubon, the artist.
Oh.
He was like coveting this same painting that he steals in this episode, in that episode. And how the fuck was I supposed to? There's some guy named Audubon. Who's that? This is not a real person. But now I'm fine. I'm glad that I have that resolution, and I know what it is now.
Nice, dude. I'm so happy for you.
The opera Pagliacci translates literally to "the clowns" from Italian. Before the opera begins, a member of the small theatrical road company, Tonio, who looks like a clown, steps before the curtain. He tells the audience that a clown is also a man, so a clown feels sorrow and pity just like a man. This is like a metaphor for the episode that we watched. Penguin is the clown.
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. It'll, like, grab a can.
I'm sorry.
When I saw the Pagliacci thing, it reminded there's a joke in the I don't know if it comes from Watchmen or if it was just used in Watchmen, but it's Rorschach. He's a man goes to a doctor, says his oh my god, this is way too small. I'm gonna bring it to the other screen. Man goes to the doctor, says he's depressed, says life seems harsh and cruel. Says he feels all alone in a threatening world where what lies ahead is vague and uncertain. Doctor says, treatment is simple. Great clown Pagliacci is in town tonight. Go and see him. That should pick you up. Man bursts into tears. Says, but doctor, I am Pagliacci. Ha! And this comes up often because Maddie will, like, tweet something as Watchtower Database and then reply to it as themselves, and then go on and be like, but doctor, I am Pagliacci afterward. And this happens way too often. And sometimes I'll do it as Watchtower Database after they've had a conversation with themselves, and then no one really knows what's going on at that point.
Wow, that's what this episode has boiled down to.
It's basement deep. Good goddamn, I think that's really it. I don't have anything else. That's all the trims. That's all the cast. Nothing happened in this episode. I'm so sorry, listener.
I feel like if there was an episode where Batman was literally just sitting on his couch reading a newspaper, I feel like we'd have more to say about it.
Yeah, okay, what's Batman's usefulness in this episode?
I mean, he's wrong at the start.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
His usefulness was pretty low because he kept assuming the Penguin was doing a bad, but he wasn't.
Yeah. So
but then when the Penguin did do a bad, he just went, okay, well, time to stop him, and then he did.
5.
Yeah. 5 plastic wrapped dresses out of 10 for me.
Wow, that's more inventive than I was gonna say. I was gonna say 5 basement walls out of 10.
Oh.
Just the blandest,
Bland.
just a basement wall.
The basement of all ratings in this category.
Jamie, this episode sucks.
It's so like. No, it wasn't even like bad. I just have nothing to say.
It's
nothing
beige.
Happened. It is beige, yeah.
This is the beigest of episodes. This is 90s beige carpet.
It's the teal of episodes.
No, teal's more exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Teal
yeah,
carpet,
I keep giving you better colors, yeah.
Teal carpet. I'll give you teal carpet.
Okay.
What is the subtitle of this episode going to even be?
The olive green carpet in your grandparents' attic out of 10.
Oh,
That's the keen effects in this episode.
There was we talked about the focus pull. There was a little bit of shadows wrapping around Pierce at the end.
But not even it was the opposite of what was cool about them in early episodes, where like it would be a dark room and the darkness of the person's face, and then light would be coming through the blinds and lighting up part of their face.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this, it was like the bars were left as the light, and then it was darker around them. Like it wasn't more light, it was the light. You know what I'm saying?
You could almost say that the bars were lowered. That should have been funny, but it's not.
I know. I like it. It's good. Oh my God. Gotta pick up the episode. The episode of this podcast is so good. I like this episode. Oh, it died. Oh, that's how long it lasts. I never let it go all the way.
Let's just end it. Let's just end the podcast now.
All right. Books or hip hop?
But neither.
Okay. Top 10? No.
No.
Here we go. All right.
Books
We drop what we drop.
Our weekly
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
go.
Kimmy.
into the comment box.
You're bringing this up.
This episode's bad.
Now Jamie's mad. Too bad.
I'm so mad.
At least I am. Just Dylan Pollock.
Can Dylan make this episode better? Dylan, we need you.
We don't have a lot of mail, unfortunately. I know.
No one
We
has
don't have
anything to say about this. We don't. The listener don't.
Yeah, no, they don't. We don't have a Keen Machine message unless it comes in like 10 minutes after we stop recording, like it has before. But I listening back, I feel like we were supposed to give a verdict on Yoppie Court, and I'll say that Keen Machine is innocent. I think of all charges because we played the I think it was Jordan Blumen's defense is correct.
Yeah.
We played we played the things because they came in at different times, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like,
All right.
Yeah, totally. Duh.
Cool. Scarloey won the second episode of a Yoppie sub podcast. I don't know what the sub part means. Do you know what that means? Is this an Australian thing? Because Scarley's Australian. Here's episode 2 of Jump on the Mechanic Wagon. Okay. And I can't play it from my phone just like last time.
Oh, sub podcast is like the podcast under the podcast.
Oh, inside the podcast. Oh, but okay, so I'm gonna keep this part in the podcast. Scarloey, don't send them as .m4a. I can't play that. I have to play it in a weird way. So hang on a second.
And I'll probably be quiet because otherwise I won't be able to hear it. So no commentary till afterwards. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, here. Let me bring it up. This is all staying in.
Hello, listener, and welcome to Jump on the Mechanic Wagon. I'm your host, Scarloey1. In this podcast, I will tell you about episode 2 of Earl, the animated series, The Birdie Bumper, Part 1. After Earl fixes a dent in the Batmobile's bumper, he goes bird watching. While there, he sees a giant white bird that looks like a man. I'm sure that's not important. And then later, he sees a short, round man in a tux going into a basement. To be continued. Yeah, this show is a bit odd, to say the least. Anyway, see you next week. Same PP time, same poo-poo channel.
I do like same PP time.
Okay, that is legitimately better than the episode we just
That
watched.
was a better plot, yeah. I'm glad the basement thing is catching on. I really hope that stays a thing with Penguin episodes.
Yeah, me too.
Because the basement theme played. It played in a really cool, bombastic, trombone-y way also, and during the dragon fight.
Yeah, the tromboners really got a hold of that song.
Those tromboners, I love them. We're up 80 points on United States of America TV reviews. So
What?
I just gotta let you,
Until
wanna
this
let you know
episode.
that. Until this episode.
What's that put us at?
Let's not even release this episode. Let's just pretend it never happened. We gotta have one bad one, right? We passed episode 50, and then we just...
Yeah.
It's all downhill, you know? Woof. Okay, with Scarface Nate, Robin's Reckoning, a.k.a. how many clips from this episode will be used later on? Also, and I can't read the rest. It's too long for the preview of the title, so I don't know what the also is, but here's the message. Here it is.
Why, hello, Babe and the Jamester.
Hey.
And here are my thoughts on Robin's Reckoning. But first, I will admit, I did like Dan Reba coming onto the podcast. It's always nice when writers, animators, and whatnot from shows or movies come in to discuss their work. It's actually quite fascinating, and
Agreed.
I like it. Anyway, onto the episode itself. I think this episode would really solidify people's love for him as a character. Not to say I didn't like him before, but I just felt that he was very underutilized and didn't do a whole lot. I still like him, though. But I think this is what really solidified a place in people's hearts for him, at least in my opinion. On a side note, though, that scene of his parents' death, truly haunting.
Yeah.
The stuff that got away with in the 90s. Man, what an age, eh? Also, I wonder if we can get King Machine's trial bigger than Johnny Depp's. I'm just saying, this trial is very interesting. Wink, wink. Stay happy.
Will do.
Yeah. It's a much better episode than the one we just watched.
Yep.
You know?
I'm actually kind of sad that we don't have a whole lot of mail because Robin's Reckoning is so bloody good.
That's true. Most of this should be for Robin's Reckoning. Huh?
So that means we're going to have zero mail next week.
Yeah, I hope so. God, I hope so. Robin's Reckoning, or How to Justify the Sidekick from Meatballs McGee.
What?
I got up. Fuck. I need a drink.
This is Robert Sterling.
So yeah, you're on Robin's Reckoning now. Without a doubt, some of my favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and definitely up there for the entire DCAU for me. Everything about it is pretty top-notch, and I'm going to be honest, I always really liked Robin episodes in Batman. It was always fun to see him play off of Batman and just see how the situation plays out. Few fun trivs. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill both appeared in the first Robin episode of The Batman. Mark Hamill voiced Tony Zuko, and Kevin Conroy was John Grayson, before he died.
Oh, the Batman. Yeah.
Oh, shit, you had Dan Reba on your show. That's so cool.
That's where it cuts off at it. That was Robert, who we filmed with for the story finale. This is Dylan Pollock down with the rich.
Bring it, Dylan.
Bam and Jay. It's time for the Thoughts of the Week with Dylan Pollock on Birds of a Feather, or The Real Evil is the Rich. I need the over-explained origin of Penguin's umbrella because it's an engineering miracle. Bullets with no magazine, a freaking helicopter, a gas system. Engineering expert Brian, can you explain? Also, is this episode kind of a reverse of the movie She's All That? where they're determined to take a criminal and keep him a criminal while also making him fall in love. We get the first and not last use of the insult cur in the DCAU. Not a spoiler, because you're not going to remember it. This is defined as a mongrel, a contemptible man, and not something a child watching BTAS would understand. Pierce uses the acronym NOKD, not our kind dear, which gave me Succession vibes of NRPI, no real person involved. Confirming again the rich are evil, as Mermaid Man would say. Time for the question of the week. James's favorite part.
Yes.
Who's the real villain of this episode? Veronica, Pierce, Penguin, or the network for interrupting Robin's reckoning for this?
Damn it,
Yeah,
Dylan.
it's that one. Oh my god.
Oh god, this is the best.
Yeah, of all episodes. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. I feel like I needed that levity for.
I know. Yeah, that brought my spirits back up a bit. Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. I didn't actually remember this being the first Veronica Freeland episode. She'll show up a lot more after this. I for some reason I was like, oh no, she was definitely in the show already. She was in that ninja episode nope, that was some lady. That wasn't Veronica Freeland. Like, that's just like sitting there in the room, in the big like wrestling or not room.
Yeah. Yep.
Whatever that room was, the big fan.
The big fan sumo room.
There's too many redhead girls in the show. I lose track of what's what, you know?
They all, never mind.
Yeah. Veronica Freeland tied up to the chandelier. The first shot of her was like very like seductive. You guys had some comment about that while we were watching.
I think Laura said something like, whoa, sexy.
I just heard her say like, okay. Like, all right, I'm game. Let's do this. This is last one, Jordan Blumen, GCN Musical Minute.
Bring it, Jordan.
It's GCN, Gotham City News with Jack Ryder. Tonight's top story, rich people suck, and they've pissed off the Penguin. I gotta be honest with you folks, I kind of feel bad for the guy on this one.
Yeah.
Hey Oswald, if you're listening, let's grab some drinks. You seem like you could use a friend.
Aww.
Now over to the music. This was a Penguin episode, so there was an awful lot of I've got Batman in my basement. A lot of it. But they did have some fun with it this time. They put in a swing version that went, I've got Batman in my basement. And I appreciated the variety for once.
Yeah, that and the tromboner version. There was a lot of that in this episode.
There was a lot of it in this episode. And parts where it was just kind of unnecessary too. But I think they just needed some music to be happening. And they thought, you know what? We've got this theme. Let's do it.
The Penguin's here, so we might as well do it. I was thinking also the everyone saying rich people suck in these voice messages made me think of like the scene where Veronica and Penguin are walking down the whatever way and those guys are like, give me all your shit.
Yeah.
Why does anyone live in Gotham City at first of all, but like specifically a bunch of rich, like there's so many rich people that like, I guess it's because it's like a giant New York City or whatever, but like there's just some like those particular rich people are so bored that they're just gonna pick on the Penguin. Like that's my weekend, but why are they there?
I don't know. I don't know.
Go away. Go away, rich people. That's what I say. This is comments on Jump on the Bat-Wagon episode 51, Robin's Reckoning Part 1 or Pew Pew Part 2 on the Podtower. Ashley Tutchin says, whenever you watch one of my favorite episodes, I get unreasonably anxious waiting to see whether or not Brick is going to like it.
Oh, shit.
I'm thrilled to see that I didn't have to worry this time and that you both liked it. It's definitely one of the B-Test standout episodes. I mean, it didn't win an Emmy for nothing. Plus, Back to the Future is my favorite film series, so I love hearing Thomas F. Wilson as Tony Zuko. He's also one of the nicest, funniest, most self-aware actors I've ever met. If you ever get a chance to meet him, I'd highly recommend it. He was at some Comic-Con that Maddie and I went to. I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, the Seattle one. He and Doc, his name escapes me at the moment, we're there with the DeLorean.
Christopher Lloyd?
Huh? Christopher Lloyd, yes. Where there was like I don't know if it was the actual DeLorean from the movie or like a prop replica or whatever, but that their line for photos was just like down the street, like there was no way that was ever going to happen. But then Christopher Lloyd just walked like 2 feet away from us while we were standing getting Neville Longbottom's autograph, and we're like, "Oh, hey, dude, like, all right, I guess that was better than ever waiting in this line." It was fine.
Amazing.
I'm bummed you have to wait for part 2. Curse you, Fox adults, and your erratic air dates. Between this and Firefly, you've got a lot to answer for. But from memory, Birds of a Feather is pretty decent. I remember liking the premise, but I can't remember much else.
Ashley, no.
I think there's a reason you don't remember it. Yeah. Ashley, no. Scarloey 1. I've watched some Superman recently. It's made me think about how weird is this podcast won't always be about Batman. Yeah, we're getting closer by the second, baby. Zane Beatty. I had also had the Zatanna Golden Book, so the episode had a bigger significance for me. I tried to find a copy for my collection before, but no luck. Also, I have a Batman in My Basement book that has noise buttons. Don't remember the sounds, but one of them had to be the sound of a lockpick, right? Lockpick gas. Yeah. Yeah, whenever Penguin was pointing his umbrella at the guys in the alleyway, I was just like, "Careful, thugs! Like he'll melt you with his lockpicking gas."
It could be anything. He's gonna chop you up with a propeller. He's gonna shoot bullets at you.
He shot gas out of it to like knock out the rich people.
Okay, can we? That's a good quick aside.
Yeah.
How potent is his gas? Because he roughly places a handkerchief over his nose and he's fine, but it knocks the other 2 people out.
Yeah. I don't know. He filled the whole room with it. Yeah. Maybe he's immune because he's a penguin man. Penguins are immune to gas.
Tell that to BP.
It's a wide. I learned it on National Geographic. Deductionist. What a fantastic episode of Batman and the podcast.
Thank you.
Unlike this one. Yoppie Court had me dying, LOL. I really appreciate the production value Keen Machine brings to all their voice memos. I do too. I also wanted to share that my dad also recorded Justice League for me and made my own VHS tapes since it aired past my bedtime back then. So thank you for reminding me to thank my dad. I'll kiss him for Maddie too.
Aww.
Now for Robin's Reckoning. Like James and many others, I'm sure I too had the Robin VHS with these episodes on it, and it was on replay quite a bit. The retelling of Robin's origin is handled so well, has moved me since I was a kid. I am really glad that you mentioned the shot where they show the cable is snapped as opposed to showing Dick's parents fall. It was definitely more impactful hearing the music and then Dick's reaction. Mm-hmm. You could really feel for him. Sorry for the longer message. Lots of good stuff to cover. Hope you guys are well and enjoy Birds of a Feather. Maybe the worst Penguin episode. Stay Yoppie. Maybe. It. So I don't know. Worst. It's not like it made me angry bad.
At least it's on.
Nothing.
It's on par.
Yeah. Charles Motosierra, great episode, both of the podcast and the cartoon. This is probably the best version of Dick Grayson's origin story ever. If I may add some nerdy, useless facts, Tony Zuko actually dates back to Robin's comic debut in 1940. In contrast, Joe Chill, that's the Batman parent murder guy, only got a name several years after Batman's origin story was first told. That's cool.
Wild.
James Royster, I can't believe that Keen Machine stunted on everyone that hard. Absolutely keen. Very true. Scotty Cameron, the trial of Keen Machine is getting spicy. Who will be called to the witness stand next? Batgirl, Fangirl, Scar Loey, Mark Aquino, Scarface Nate, or me? Now there's a riddle. I don't know. We didn't find out this time. there's no Yoppie Court on this episode.
Shoot.
To answer Dylan's question, I'd erase Be a Clown from existence. That episode isn't as enjoyably bad as some of the other ACOM catastrophes like Prophecy of Doom or Joker's Wild. So it can go bye-bye. I don't care if it has the Batman thumbs up moment. It's not that fun to watch. That's true. He's taller than a truck. By the way, says Dylan Pollock, y'all, I was serious about that podcast. So check out the first episode. Look forward to the future higher audio quality episodes. Yeah, it's movies to watch before you die.
Yeah, I saw that come up on my feed, and I haven't had the time to listen/watch it yet. But I look forward to it because... I mean, would there even be a Yoppie Dudes podcast without Dylan?
Yes, but Dylan, you're like shaking your head. Oh, yeah, well, technically, yeah. Scrudge, Jamie, if it's any consolation, I have a very similar memory to your story about being inconsiderate when receiving a birthday gift as a kid.
I'm sorry, Scrudge makes me laugh every time.
Scrudge! When I was like 4, a friend of mine gave me a Bionicle toy. And I was immediately like, oh, I already have this. I remember that a lot, and I just think, wow, what a dickhead I was. So, yeah, you're definitely not the only one. I wonder how common that is for children to just, oh, dang it.
Wow, I'm really let down by your gift choice. Try harder.
Yeah. Now, I'll take note that KM has been so fed up with me not reading specific chunks of their comments that they've pasted every chunk of every past comment that I haven't read into a giant behemoth monster of a comment.
Oh.
And here's the thing, KM. I ain't reading that shit. So I pick out pieces because I like some of it. But dear God, I'm not gonna look through this. It's nothing personal. You gotta understand, man. There's not enough time in the world for this comment. It's so long. Stop it. Oh, let me pick one sentence out of here. I think you two should remove some lesser used sound effects and use some clips from DCAU episodes that you watched. Harvey, no. Mr. Freeze, or They Went East could be good. I think your goal should be making the soundboard just from DCAU episode clips or podcast special sound effects. Like, that's not how it works.
I think that's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
The soundboard is definitely a mood thing.
Soundboard is chaos.
It's chaos. It doesn't always make
incarnate.
sense, and I think that's what makes sense about it.
Yes. Lanola Cola, when this podcast started, I didn't expect the emergence of Yoppie Dudes plus Listeners Universe, or YDLU. That Yoppie Court bit was too good to be a one-off message. Hope we hear more of that. And I shared
Same.
Brian's disappointment that the next episode isn't Robin's Reckoning Part 2 or Pew Pew Pee Pee Poo Poo Part 3. Hope we'll survive the upcoming, presumably Penguin episode. I think we are surviving is what we're doing.
We're just surviving.
Not
thriving.
Anyway,
just
nope.
surviving.
Banana Man says,
Okay.
Sewer King. No, you haven't left the Sewer King brain rot,
damn
Tip
it.
Tapricot. Batgirl Fangirl, now I really want to know what Robin was doing whilst Bruce was going to fancy parties and operas. He must have really taken the scenic route on that bat cycle. Definitely my favorite Penguin episode. That wouldn't be too hard. It actually quite moves me at times. Music, animation, voice acting, all top-notch. Batman's Peach line always makes me laugh. that was good.
Funny. I hope you use that clip.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Ozzy.
As long as you weren't bruised, my Peach.
Peach.
The listener really is so funny and talented. Jordan, Dylan, Pillin, Scarlowy, One, Ashley, Scotty, Mark, Nick, Lacola, Keen, Karam, Tip-Tapper, Kareem, whatever it is, Tip-Tapricot, Wency, Maddie, Ian, and even Banana Man's okay. Very nice singing, Tip-Tapricot. I sing as well as the Penguin does. The Yoppie Court part was so well done. I'm sure that's not true. Well done to everyone involved. It was great to see Veronica and Pierce return in Batman the White Knight. Oh, I didn't remember that. That's a comic from a couple years ago.
Oh.
Such a keen podcast, James and Brian. 5 stars and 5 really dodgy cappuccinos.
Thank you. And I'm
Rat
sorry
poison
we've
cappuccino.
thrashed on an episode you like so much.
It happens, you know?
Yes.
Sometimes we like episodes and sometimes we don't.
Also true.
Those are the two options. Dylan Pollock says, I look forward to Batman's usefulness being a consistent 0 for much of Static Shock, Superman, and the Zeta Project. Just saying two-parters must be judged together as they're intended to be by the creator, not God, the show's creators. You wouldn't judge the first half of Titanic separate from the second half because if VHS was 2 tapes, it's still one movie. Yeah, I think we need to have that discussion next time when we rank.
Dylan's really trying to drive that
Robin's
point
Reckoning
home.
Part 2. Wency209, Bro Bob might have forgotten Batman's origin story, but at least he got Robin's origin story, so at least that's something. I think you're Bro Bob.
Sweet.
This is from a new one, Etienne Perizot. Etienne Perizot. You guys got to stop having names that I can't say. I don't know what that is.
Etienne?
Sure.
Ishin.
Yes. In summer 2021, I started my first binge whole... Let me start this again. In summer 2021, I started my first binge watch of the whole DCAU, except for Static Shock and Zeta Project. Those are not on Mexico's HBO Max. Oh, that's.
Aww.
Although Zeta Project isn't on any HBO Max. It's just forgotten.
Boo.
And like an hour ago, I just finished JLU. I feel kind of heartbroken because I remember being like 5 years old and watching these shows on Cartoon Network. But after that, I was never able to watch them again, except for the 3 DVDs my parents gave me as a kid, and some episodes included as bonus content on the Blu-rays of other movies I bought. After over 15 years, HBO Max was created, and I had a legal and economic-friendly option to finally get the answers to a ton of storylines I knew the beginning of, but not the end.
Oh,
Today,
that's awesome.
Yeah, today is the end of a journey that literally took me my whole life up until this point. I'm sad because it ended, but glad for going through it. The DCAU is a key part to form my love of not just DC, but storytelling in general. Now I'll watch Justice League vs. the Fatal Five, and it will probably be the last dance in this universe. After that, I'll rewatch all the videos at Watchtower Database. Thank you, James, Maddie, Ted, and Brian, for making bigger the love I feel for this incredible, sometimes silly, life-changer animated universe. Stay Yoppie.
Oh,
that's a good message.
My God.
That's a good comment.
Okay, can we just, instead of the whole podcast, what if we just play that comment? Because that's so sweet. And
we can rank comments. This is my new number 1. I'll give this comment 7 Brian's being included among James, Maddie, and Ted out of 10.
I am always amazed when people include me in Watchtower stuff because I just feel so adjacent in the collective. And even when like Maddie made some posts on Instagram and Facebook, and they included me in you know, with stuff with the
story
big
finale.
Story, the finale is the word I was looking for. And it's so nice because I know it's not like I don't feel like I've earned it, but it's still cool to be like.
Well, I mean, in particular, that stuff you had a definitely big hand in. Like it wouldn't exist without you. So
yeah, but like I don't know, it's.
You deserve praise, Brian.
No.
Okay?
No, everybody in the world does but me.
You deserve vegetable sloppy joes. And there you got them.
Oh, they were so good, too. Oh, my God.
Got a couple more comments. This one's from Dylan Pollock again. Yop cannot be defined. It's an essence. It's a state of mind, man. As far as food goes, metaphorically, it's like umami.
I think it's a fragrance.
Yeah.
Yop for her.
Yop by Wayne. Scarlowy says first.
Oh.
But then before that, Mark Aquino says we're both first Scarlowy one, and that's all that matters. After a few episodes of varying animation quality, we got Spectrum back. The underappreciated is for Robin's Reckoning. The underappreciated studio that provided the animation for On Leather Wings and for a great episode too. I assume that's a dig on Leather Wings. I'll take it. It's the Bat versus the Biff. Winner takes all. Loser crashes their car into a manure truck. I can't wait for you guys to talk about part 2. As I'm typing this upcoming Saturday is Batman Day, September 17th. Yes, it was. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I hope you've, we didn't remember that either. And it was the day before the story finale premiere. And also the story finale premiere was the day before the 24th anniversary of Maddie's favorite Batman episode.
Wow.
So we're like, we did that on purpose. Just like we did Dan Reba on the 30th anniversary. We know these things. These things are in our heads. So I hope you've all been good this year, and remember to leave out some bat milk and cookies. Batman knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Otherwise, you'll probably be eating soft yappy foods through a straw for a while.
Uh-oh.
All the best to the great Jamie Jam, and the apple. I think that was supposed to be a read in a song, but I don't know what the song is. And the apple of my eye, brother Brian Brick Broderick Brushy, breaking Breckenmeyer's bravado with Brussels sprouts, but brimming with brilliance and braggadocio, bro. Praise to our Lord and Savior Dylan Pollock and his disciples, Scarlowy, Batgirl, Fangirl, Scotty Cameron, Wency, Tip Tapper, Key Machine, etc. Until next time, Smoke Bomb!
Nice.
I'm loving the evolution of the comments.
Me too. It's one of my favorite bits.
I think for the first, not the first time in a while, but for unarguably the Yoppie Mail section this time was better than the rest of the podcast.
I usually think it is, but this was definitely heaps better. So we want to talk about Robin's Reckoning Part 2? Let me take a guess. It's Batman's origin story. The end.
I don't know what button to press. Let's do this one. I'm searching for a button. Yeah, next week's Robin's Reckoning Part 2. You got it.
Sweet.
What do you think's actually going to happen? Let's set our minds back in Robin's Reckoning. Most of that episode was him remembering all the shit, and now it's time to go fuck him up. What's going to happen?
I think they're going to do the trope of, Robin's going to be about to get his revenge, and then it's going to be like, no, it's not right. Too cutting of tight trapeze wires doesn't make a wrong or whatever.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I thought you were trying to say like he's gonna have Tony Zuko up on a tightrope or whatever, and it'll be metaphorical for.
He's gonna metaphorically put him in a basement.
Yeah, I've got Zuko in my base. Oh boy, this was a podcast. I hope you come back, listener, for the next one. It'll be better. I hope this isn't your last episode.
Maybe this one will get lost in the mail.
Yeah,
except for the mail segment. That can still play.
Yeah. That guy, the one guy that was a mailman that wrote in, if you're listening.
In Indiana?
Sure. Please drop this episode on the ground on accident. Okay?
That would be great.
That's all I'm saying. Step on it real good.
All right.
What was Penguin going to, propose to Veronica Vreeland was like a little penguin thing?
No, I think that was just going to be a thing he was going to try to win some more favor with. The end.
Okay. If you want to reach out to us like the fire hand at the end of the Cat in the Claw Part 2, email us at podcast@watchtowerdatabase.com. I'm going to check one more time that we didn't get a Keen Machine one, and we didn't. Okay. Sorry, Keen Machine. I hope you didn't try to send it later because it's not in here.
It's pretty late on any end of this country. But it's really early in Guam.
Yeah. I think that's always the case. Something that I realize I can say and no one but you, and you won't, can prove otherwise, is that actually this episode of this podcast was way worse than what you just listened to, but I edited out a lot of the bad, stupid stuff. So this is the best version you could have gotten.
Wow, that's sad. This is going to be like a 15-minute long episode.
You can also send us one single voice message by going to anchor.fm/Bat-Wagon. Leave us a comment on today's episode on the Podtower YouTube channel and subscribe for new DCAU podcasts every week. There's us. There's the DCAU review. That's currently it. Tim Talk is over, and our other podcast still hasn't started yet because we're fuckheads.
Nice.
Who want to do a really long story finale that takes way too long to do. And next week, I'll get to actually talk about the spoiler embargo will be up on the story finale, and I'll get to actually mention the ending. Go watch it because the ending, oh my God, go see it, okay?
It was a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch, go appreciate, go comment, go share, go buy a t-shirt. The end.
New episodes of the podcast are released every Friday on the Podtower YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast feed and watchtowerdatabase.com.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time, everybody.
This is a terrible episode, and we're both sorry.
Hey, Penguin!
The end. The end. The end. The end.
Penguin!
The end. The end. The end. The end. The end.
Dance with me, Brian. Dance with me.
Okay.
Dance. Move it, football head. Hey, Arnold.
The end.
That's it. The end.
Nice.
I'm so sorry.
Careful. Careful.
Oswald, I really was growing fond of you. It's too bad this had to happen.
I suppose it's true what they say. Society is to blame. High society.